You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 23rd day of April, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast, that is our live training room, so it is reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you haven't taken your 1-week free trial, simply go to mytradingiq.com and at the very top of the page, click the purple button. Fill out the form. We'll get your indicators up and running today. Your trial will start tomorrow. And even though there's a weekend ahead, you'll still get 5 consecutive trading days on the trial where you have access to not only the live training room, but everything a passport holder has access to. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the afternoon broadcast, which is open to the public. That's everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. Now, there's 2 different ways to join the afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com and this time scroll down the page to where it says noon broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In that email there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email and it will automatically log you into our platform. Now, the benefit there is you'll have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll just be busy and can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. Been saying for a while I was going to check and see if we had rolled over 2,800, and turns out we have. So, youtube.com/CFRN. Now, thanks to the power of YouTube, you're able to see how we've evolved over the years, day by day. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it's a great resource to have available, and it also lets you know we've been around for a minute. This is our daily schedule for the afternoon broadcast each day on a normal day, and today's, I guess, normal. So we'll jump into our daily devotional. Now, last week we started the topic of the Holy Week and Easter. But on Monday we did Palm Sunday, so we were a day behind. Then we were off Friday for Good Friday, and so now, today, we're up to Good Friday in this devotional. Our scripture today is Luke 23, verses 1 through 25, and I'm going to share it from the Message translation. Then they all took Jesus to Pilate and began to bring up charges against him. They said, "We found this man undermining our law and order, forbidding taxes to be paid to Caesar, setting himself up as Messiah King." Pilate asked him, "Is this true that you're King of the Jews?" "Those are your words, not mine," Jesus replied. Pilate told the high priest and the accompanying crowd, "I find nothing wrong here. He seems harmless enough to me." But they were vehement. "He's stirring up unrest among the people with his teaching, disturbing the peace everywhere, starting in Galilee and now all through Judea. He's a dangerous man, endangering the peace." When Pilate heard that, he asked, "So he's a Galilean?" Realizing that he properly came under Herod's jurisdiction, he passed the buck to Herod, who just happened to be in Jerusalem for a few days. Herod was delighted when Jesus showed up. He had wanted for a long time to see him. He'd heard so much about him. He hoped to see him do something spectacular. He peppered him with questions. Jesus didn't answer, not one word. But the high priest and religion scholars were right there, saying their piece, strident and shrill in their accusations. Mightily offended, Herod turned on Jesus. His soldiers joined in, taunting and jeering. Then they dressed him up in an elaborate king costume and sent him back to Pilate. That day, Herod and Pilate became thick as thieves. Always before, they had kept their distance. Then Pilate called in the high priest, rulers, and the others and said, "You brought this man to me as a disturber of the peace. I examined him in front of all of you and found there was nothing to your charge. And neither did Herod, for he has sent him back here with a clean bill of health. It's clear that he's done nothing wrong, let alone anything deserving death. I'm going to warn him to watch his step and let him go." At that, the crowd went wild. "Kill him! Give us Barabbas." Barabbas had been thrown in prison for starting a riot in the city and for murder. Pilate still wanted to let Jesus go, and so spoke out again. But they kept shouting back, "Crucify! Crucify him!" He tried a third time, But for what crime? I found nothing in him deserving death. I'm going to warn him to watch his step and let him go. But they kept at it, a shouting mob demanding that he be crucified. And finally, they shouted him down. Pilate caved in and gave them what they wanted. He released the man thrown in prison for rioting and murder and gave them Jesus to do whatever they wanted. And we all know exactly what they did. Thanks to Mel Gibson. So, Good Friday, the one day during Holy Week that we call good, is also the darkest, most painful day, Good Friday. So what is it that's good about this day? After sharing a Passover meal with his friends, which we discussed yesterday, Jesus takes them for a short walk across the Kidron Valley into a garden. He enters a deep, excruciating time of prayer and asks God to spare him of his fate. Jesus knows he will soon be murdered. In the early hours of the night, Judas uses what should be an expression of love, a kiss, to betray Jesus. He tells Roman soldiers that the one he kisses is the one they are looking for. And after he does it, Jesus is taken into custody. Powerful men use deception and coercion to find Jesus guilty and condemn him to death. But Jesus loves each of them, even though they wish to harm him. And rather than fighting back, he remains silent when accused. Jesus is then publicly tortured and mocked as people spit on him and beat him bloody. He is stripped naked and led away to be crucified. He endures beatings, scourging, and gut-wrenching humiliation. Outside the city, his accusers nail him to a cross where he eventually dies. Before dying, he prays for the people who are killing him. Father, forgive them, he says, for they know not what they do. Luke 23:34. God's unbreakable love for every human being, including his enemies, shines bright on this dark, deadly Good Friday. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, though you were innocent, you stood silent before accusation and bore the judgment meant for us. Thank you for your sacrifice, for taking our place so we could be set free. Teach us to trust you, even in the face of injustice, and to follow you with surrendered hearts. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen, and happy Wednesday. Let's do the numbers from around the world. Let's start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. How about that gap open last night? Oh my goodness. That might be one of the biggest gaps. I can say with certainty it's the biggest gap open I remember. Not saying there hasn't been a bigger one, but I don't remember one. Currently, the Dow is up 501 points. Again, these are the cash markets, not futures. The Dow's up 501 points, a little over 1.25%. NASDAQ's up 421 points, over 2.5%. S&P 500 is up 88. That's almost 1.75%. And the Russell 2000, our man of the street, up 39 points, almost 2.25%. In the commodity basket, crude oil down $1.73. Make that $1.76. Trading 61.91 last. That's a drop of 2.75%. Gold down $122.10. Trading 32.97 last. That's a drop of over 3.5%. Silver, on the other hand, is up 62 cents. Trading 33.52 last. That's a gain of almost 2%, or well over $2,500 per contract traded. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 648 points, almost 2%. The Shanghai fell 3. The Hang Seng gained 510, which is well over 2.25%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 74, almost 1%. The DAX up 668, 3.25%. The CAC up 155. That's almost 2.25%. So we had a mixed day in Asia. The only red on the screens is Shanghai. It was a green day for the UK, and it's a big green Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. So with that, let's take a look at the news. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced a reorganization of the State Department yesterday, calling for a 15% reduction in the workforce across the U.S., that's roughly 2,000 jobs, and consolidation of more than 100 offices worldwide. An internal working group is tasked with executing the plan by July 1st. The 132 offices slated to be cut represent roughly 18% of the State Department's offices. They include offices related to women's issues, criminal justice, and promoting democracy. A whole bunch of bureaucratic hooey. 2 offices will be added, one focusing on cybersecurity and one focusing on artificial intelligence, and another to coordinate aid programs that remain following the dismantle of the U.S. Agency for International Development. Regional bureaus will not be affected, including the Bureau of African Affairs, despite an earlier report. The overhaul is part of the Trump administration's aim to downsize the federal government and reduce the national debt. The State Department is the oldest executive agency with a $63.5 billion budget for fiscal year 2025. Now, that's a whole lot of coin, don't you think? And isn't it amazing how one of the parties is fighting the removal of fraud, waste, and abuse? You got to wonder, who are they working for? Hang on a second. All right, there we go. Next, the Supreme Court heard arguments yesterday in a case that will determine whether parents of public school children have a constitutional right to opt their kids out of lessons featuring LGBTQ characters and themes. The challenge comes from a group of Muslim, Catholic, and Ukrainian Orthodox parents, and there's plenty of Have you seen these books? Have you? They want to give these to kindergartners. They want to sexualize 5-year-olds. Man, we're got to be as close to Sodom and Gomorrah as you can possibly get at this point. This isn't education. This is indoctrination. So, the Supreme Court has heard the arguments, but we probably won't get a ruling until late June, early July. This particular district that filed the lawsuit, the most religiously diverse in the U.S., introduced the books in 2022 to reflect its diverse student body. Initially, they allowed you as a parent to opt out. In other words, I don't want my kid seeing this pornography. He's only 5 years old. But the district, without any heads up, ended the policy, citing disruptions to classroom instruction. And lower courts ruled in favor of the district, finding exposure to the books does not coerce children to abandon their religious beliefs, and that parents remain free to teach their values at home. The Supreme Court's decision is expected, as I said, end of June, early July. Separately, a federal appeals court is weighing the Pentagon's ban on transgender individuals from serving openly in the military. I got news for you. If there was a war and I was in a foxhole, I'd walk out. But you get shot. Yeah, because that's a world I don't want to live in. Sorry. Moving on. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said today that the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank are falling short of their original missions and guilty of mission creep, as he asked them to refocus efforts on helping the U.S. restore balance to the international economic system. The U.S. helped create both institutions near the end of World War II as a part of the Bretton Woods Agreement that set a framework for a new international monetary system in the decades that followed. Bessent argued in his speech that the purpose of the IMF and the World Bank was to better align national interests with international order, thereby bringing stability to an unstable world. In short, their purpose was to restore and preserve balance. Yet everywhere we look across the international economic system today, we see imbalance. The IMF is not your friend. Intel rose up. Well, at one point it was up 6.7%. It's now up $1, basically 5%. You can buy Intel at $20 right now. You know, that might be something you want to do your due diligence on. The report comes just a day before the chipmaker is set to report earnings, which are due out after the bell tomorrow. So, this is a big name. Earnings after the bell. Look for a gap higher open or gap lower open. As I've said, I'm not going to do the CTAs 5 minutes ahead of the open until we get through earnings season. Intel is the only U.S. chip manufacturer capable of producing leading-edge semiconductors at scale. They've struggled over the past several years to keep up in an increasingly AI-dominated market. Shares of the iconic yet troubled chip maker fell roughly 60% in 2024 and have dropped a more modest 2.7% year-to-date as Intel's manufacturing divisions bleed cash as its product business losses. Market share to advanced micro devices, AMD. What's AMD trading at? AMD is up 5% on the session. So, be on the lookout tomorrow afternoon. Those numbers will come out after the bell. Remember, stop trading at 4 p.m. Eastern, but futures continue trading until 5 p.m. Eastern. Then they close for an hour, sweep the floor, empty the ashtrays, and reopen at 6 p.m. Eastern. So today's the Wednesday session, but it began last night, Tuesday night, at 6 p.m. Eastern. From Reuters, sales of new U.S. single-family homes increased more than expected in March as buyers rushed to take advantage of a decline in mortgage rates. But a gloomy economic outlook poses a challenge to the housing market recovery. A whole lot of folks worried about a whole lot of nothing. New home sales jumped 7.4% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 724,000 units last month, the highest level since September of 2024. The sales pace for February was revised down to a rate of 674,000 units from the previously reported 676,000 units. Yeah, what's a couple thousand units? No big deal. U.S. crude stockpiles rose unexpectedly last week. Drill, baby, drill. While both gasoline and distillate inventories fell more than expected. Crude inventories rose by 244,000 barrels to 443.1 million barrels for the week ending April 18th, compared with the analyst expectations in a Reuters poll for a 770,000 barrel drawdown. Whoa, talk about a miss. Analysts expected a 770,000 barrel drawdown, and inventories rose by 244,000. That's a huge miss. Somebody needs to go take their continuing education classes. Crude stocks at the Cushing, Oklahoma delivery hub fell by 86,000 barrels last week, according to the EIA. What else we got here? From Reuters, the main U.S. stock indexes rallied to one-week highs today on hopes for a de-escalation in the U.S.-China trade war. Everybody's got to have that cheap plastic crap. And also, President Trump has scaled back his threats to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. He's just going to let him sit there and stew. He's got to leave next year anyway. His term's up. The prospect of negotiations between Washington and Beijing, and I guarantee you Jerome's going to do as much damage as he possibly can, because he has TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. The prospect of negotiations between Washington and Beijing, currently locked in an escalating tit-for-tat tariff war, helped lift sentiment after a Wall Street Journal reporter cited a senior White House official as saying the U.S. tariffs on China were likely to come down to between roughly 50 and 60%. And last, Tesla. Tesla shares climbed today as investors focused on comments from Tuesday's earnings call rather than the electric vehicle maker's disappointing first quarter results. Tesla's earnings came in well short of estimates, with automotive revenue falling 20% year over year as Tesla's sales were hurt amid a political backlash to CEO Elon Musk's involvement in the Trump administration. However, Musk said in Tuesday's earnings call that he will start scaling back his government work next month. Musk also said plans for a cheaper Tesla model and fully self-driving vehicles remain on track. Now, when you buy shares in Tesla, let's face it, you're not buying shares in an electric car company. You're buying shares in Elon Musk. He was once the liberal darling, and you weren't nobody if you didn't drive a Tesla. And now look at this mess we have on our hands. Because those who are profiteering from the fraud, waste, and abuse, they're upset. We have an administration that for once is actually trying to do something positive for the American people. Not the government, the American people. So you can wave all your rainbow flags you want. I could care less. It's time to make America great again. All right. Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, also crude, gold, and silver. We're currently in week 351. And over the last 351 weeks, we have issued over 19,400 individual handcrafted alerts. And we've averaged on a weekly basis 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. When Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, since the markets opened Sunday night, we had issued a total of 32 alerts, still waiting on the outcome of 9. That gave us 23 actionable alerts, of which 1 or 4% would have been stopped out, again based on market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, every logic alert has an entry price, an initial target, in many cases, or most cases, additional targets, and then a final trade to target. Yes, you can trade them, obviously, but the true purpose of the Logic 247 alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. You want to be able to take a look at any chart of any market in any time frame and instinctively know what the next high probability move is based on market structure. You need to be able to see where there's potential resistance. You need to be able to see where there's potential support. In doing so, you unveil the windows of opportunity that live between those two extreme points. So use them as they're intended, and they will serve you well. Now, the logic alerts can come out any time around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Our original alert service is quite different. Number one, they don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report shortly after the Globex open till we get through earnings season. Then we'll go back to that 5:55 p.m., 5 minutes ahead of the open. But for now, we're going to do them after the Globex open, as we did for over a decade. Well over a decade. Probably 15 years. Anyway, I posted them last night at 6:57 p.m. Eastern. Basically, an hour after the markets opened. The Wednesday session began Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, what this means is that all of our members and all of our trial members had all of these targets 57 minutes after the market opened. S&P, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. If you're a member or trial member, make sure you read this information up here. It's important, and make sure you understand it. If you don't, ask. Okay? That's how you learn, by asking questions. So, with that said, let's go to the daily chart of the S&P 500 E-mini futures. Now, this morning we had a green candle all the way up to here. What was the high? 54.99.75. Why don't we just call it 5,500? Now, I was looking for price to hit this, 55.28, the 50% reverse fib. We came oh so close. Now we've pulled back to the BVC. But we've got blue and climbing, and we know that price moves in legs. Leg retracement, leg retracement, leg retracement, leg retracement, leg retracement. Question is, have we shifted? Now, what I just walked you through with legs, pun intended, has that changed? Is it now leg retracement leg? Now, here's the issue. We got a huge gap here. Okay, it's rare for the indices to not fill the gap rather quickly. This I can't speak for. Now, every gap higher open in the history of the indices has been filled. I'll let you ponder that, because the indices always go higher over time. Could this gap go unfilled? It could. Or we could catch a retracement right back here to support times 2. What we need to do is we need to close above the BVC, and then we need to close above the 50% fib. And then we've got this beautiful area here from, about 5,600 up to 5,660. That's a nice 60-point window of opportunity, but it's going to be a while till we get there, but it'll be valid when we get there. Okay. Today the big question will be, do we close above the BVC? That's very bullish. And with blue and climbing, I think it's possible. We had a huge rally and then a retracement. Remember, that's how markets work. So what do the institutional traders do this afternoon? Will they paint the tape? I don't know. Is this a head fake? Again, I don't know. Could it be a potential bull trap? I don't know. See, we believe in just telling you the truth. All these other folks, they're going to tell you they know this and they know that, and in most cases they know squat. But hey, who's counting, right? I encourage you to look at the daily chart of whatever you trade, stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs. Spend 2 minutes with the daily chart before you drop to your smaller time frame and start trading. Why? Because institutional traders, the ones with the deep pockets that move price, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. So what you're doing is you're peeping over their shoulder, okay? You're able to see what the deep pockets are doing, okay? Now, they've obviously taken their finger off the buy button for the moment. Would they love to get another run back to the high of the day? Probably, okay? So, number one, you see what the deep pockets are doing or not doing, and you're able to identify major areas of support and resistance. Looking at your smaller time frame, you never knew that this was the 24% reverse fib, and the market would most likely find support there, or that it would find resistance at the 50% fib retracement. Look at the daily chart. Read the chart. Understand where resistance is, where potential support is. Okay, if we were to come back down through the 38, this high right here, that's potential support. Step line, potential support. Blue and climbing, potential support. As we move higher. Now, today's high, 54.9975. Take a look over here on April 14th. 54.9775. We put in a 2-point higher high today, and then backed off. So it was a nice showing. I just don't know if the institutional traders have the intestinal fortitude at the moment to continue the rally. But we'll see, won't we? All alerts are created on the 30-minute chart, Logic 247, and the Concierge Trade Alerts. The vertical line separates today, Wednesday, back here's Tuesday, Monday, and these are the weekly trading zones, which are published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern for the last 15 plus years. Once they're published Monday morning, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. Now look at the low of today, and look at where we gapped. This was the gap. We closed down here yesterday, and then last night, 1 hour later at 6 p.m. Eastern, we opened all the way up here. Okay, there's basically a 100-point gap or so. 53.20. Would we open? We open at 53.79. Okay, huge gap. And we ran right into a weekly trading zone that was published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Okay, so here we are, middle of the week, and the zones are still doing their job. When price runs up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. And when price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. So we hit resistance, had a little bit of a retracement. We basically retraced right back to where we gapped open. You should expect that to be a support. Okay, and it was. So here we go. Right here, red and falling turns to blue and climbing, and it takes us right up to the long target. Then we get a leg and a retracement. And notice on the retracement, the top of that long target becomes what? Support. So we get another leg, and then we get a retracement back to the BBC. Now the pullback holds, whether it's pulling from below or pulling down from above. The pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. It stands for bull, bear, cross. When price crosses below the green line, we anticipate lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and anticipate higher prices. Now, we are currently below the BBC, sitting on top of the weekly zone at 5409/5410. We have red and falling overhead. Okay. So as you can see, all these pullbacks held and they held. And now we have one that didn't hold, but it found support at the zone. So I do believe there's a gap fill trade out there in the Logic 247 channel. That is one of the ones that we were still waiting on. Okay. Now, with red and falling overhead, we've got support here. So, is there an opportunity to do any business here? Yeah. Right there. What do we got? Roughly 5401 down to 5388. It's 3 points. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Remember, when price is above the 30-minute BBC, we expect higher prices. But once price trades through the BBC and is now below it, we anticipate lower prices. Okay. Now the market could find support here and turn right back up. But this chart at the moment is bearish. Okay. And this is that gap that will probably at some point get filled. Okay. On the Dow, here's the gap open last night, and we ran right into a weekly trading zone, and what did we find? Resistance. Now that's the zone that was published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. As I said, once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. Now notice the pullback held and the pullback held. Then once we got above the BBC, the pullback held, the pullback held, pullback held. But eventually price is going to trade through. And here's that eventually. Now, this low is just above where we opened last night. So we need to break this low in order to get a gap fill move, which will look bearish on that daily chart. Okay, but we know that's how price moves in legs. Okay, you get a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, and a leg, and eventually price will trade through. So now if we break this low, then there's a beautiful window of opportunity. Just even if you just traded it down to the zone, something like 39,660. Make it 39,650 to 39,550. That's 100 points. At $5 a point, it's $500 per contract traded. Russell. Gap higher open. Oh, so close. What do we get to? 1947.20. And the target was at 49. But there's plenty of room to get your goal for the day. I mean, just simply knowing where the zones are. This is what you knew. It was, what did I say, 57 minutes before I published these targets. And here's where we hit the target for the first time, retraced, hit it again, traded through it, spiked the zone at 63.64. And this time, now see, the pullback held, the pullback held, and it held, and it held, and it held. Eventually, it's not going to hold. Now this low, this current low of the session, well, this is the open last night is the current low of the session. So we need to break this and get into this area here. And you could trade that 1921 down to 1915. The zone is 1415. So call it 22 to 16. That's a 6-point window of opportunity. In Q, gap higher open, almost made it. Retracement. Hit the target, consolidated the zone. When price encounters a weekly trading zone, only one of three things happens. Consolidation, 70% of the time. Rejection, 20% of the time. The slice, 10% of the time. So on the NQ, we have also traded below, but we got a little different picture here. Okay, this candle and this candle are still physically touching the BBC. So even though we're below the BBC, so far the pullback has held. We need to see a candle open and close below the BBC to say that the pullback didn't hold. Now price is up against the BBC, resistance, step lines potential resistance, red and falling's potential resistance, and these wicks sticking up should have had you mentally ready for this retracement. Okay, and where we find support, we're sitting right on top. Remember, once you trade through the long target and price retraces, that will often become the top of that target right there, becomes support. We see it almost every day as we go through these markets. Crude oil. Crude oil caught a little gap higher open. Okay, and it filled the gap, or filled the window that we drew yesterday during the broadcast. Hit the zone, resistance. Resistance will always send the market looking for support. The pullback held. Now, pullback held, pullback held. Then we get above the BBC. The pullback held, the pullback held, the pullback held. Pullback held, pullback held, and then finally we traded through. Okay, but once we traded through and retraced, the pullback held, literally to the tick. So we hit the short target. Okay, it took us all the way down to here. Okay, support sends us looking for resistance, which we found at the BBC. And that sent crude all the way back down. Sent it all the way down, actually, to here. Now, what's that low? 61.53. Right there, 61.54. Okay, I missed it by a penny. So now what happens? Well, the step line, see how it was running parallel on the way down? And then they kind of merged together. Now the step line has crossed to the right side of red and falling. So don't be too surprised if price attempts a retracement back to the BBC. Gold, we had a gap lower open. And market found support at the zone. Pull back to the BBC held. resistance, sent the market looking for support, which it found at the zone to the tick. That bounced us up into resistance at red and falling, and that sent us all the way down to the target. As you can see, we poked through the target and hit the zone, 3304/05. Support sent us back to resistance. Resistance sent us back to support. And we got one market left, silver. We'll go over that when I come back. Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. And then we'll wrap things up with a good word for the day.
Excellent. Here we go. All right. Here we are. You should see it all. Yeah, you can. All right.
I just got to get it opened up. There we go. All right.
Okay.
You good to go.
Good. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd day of April, 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button, and it's going to bring you to this registration page where all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down at the bottom, you really need to get a TradingView login ID, okay? If you don't give us your TradingView login ID, then you won't be able to get the indicators that we're using indicating on your charts. So please get that TradingView login ID. If you do, then we will certainly enable it for you. If you don't have one, click on this link right here. Okay, click on this link. It's going to bring you to, because I need to click on that link. It's going to bring you to this page where, watch this little video. It's 3 minutes long. Click on this. It's going to bring you to this page. I don't know if these are the current prices. I know there was a huge sale recently. I don't think the sale's on anymore. I think it ended a couple days ago. But those sales do happen a few times a year. So when you sign up for the first time, make sure you do the monthly, not the annually for the first time, okay? Because usually there's going to be a sale, like quarterly, there's going to be a sale that's about 70% off the premium. All right, so that's that stuff. Now the spreadsheet, we had a pretty good day today. Actually, our best day of the week so far, our best day in the last 2 weeks, it looks like. Yeah, it is the best day in the last 2 weeks. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures. Down at the bottom, we're up 165 ticks on the NQ, 75 ticks on the Russell. The gold was our nemesis today after we whooped it 2 days in a row. Gold today was back and forth above and below zero. Ended up with a plus 30 on the gold and 89 on the ES. Today it took 3 minutes and 2 trades to get to $2,500 with 10 contracts on. And we took a total of 56 trades this morning. Most of those were on gold. 28 of those trades were on gold. Speaking of 28, that puts us at $28,665 over 14 business days, averaging $2,047 per contract per 2-hour business day. I want to try to keep that over $2,000 for the month. That'd be the first time we had ever done that. On the year now, we're at $112,952 over 67 business days, averaging $1,685 per contract per 2-hour business day. All right. Again, that is all with 1 contract, and we trade with 10. So you can do the math. Pretty easy. All right, let's get into the trades. Gold, I am going to do last because we had so many trades on gold. Let me flip this around this way. And I guess we had pretty much, that is not the right thing. Okay, I put that over there. All right, so on these other markets, let's just start with the NQ and we'll go backwards. We'll go right to left instead of left to right. Right, on the NQ, we didn't have very many trades at all. We started out over here. We had some big things happen during the markets today. So we had some big chunks of movement all at once. On the NQ, our first trade was right here. We had 75 ticks on that one. And then we didn't trade again for a little while. I put it aside because it was just too bouncy and jumpy. Then we started trading it again. We had 4 ticks there to get us to 79. And then I think 40 ticks there to get us to 119. Then we had a break even. Then we had a small gain there. Well, it was 12 ticks to get us to 161. And then there was one more trade that I didn't write down. That was 4 ticks to get us to 165. And that was where we ended it with the NQ. Now, just looking at the NQ here during the break, there was a lot of movement here during the break. Some really nice trades. If you're just doing the conservative trades, there were a bunch of them in here. You can see many times here where it came up and it just came right out of the overbought. Usually where it goes up and it doesn't linger in the overbought, those are going to turn out to be good trades. All right. This one here would have been a stop out, but that one was good. That one was good. That one was good. That one would have ended up being that one as well, which was good. This one was all right. That was a good trade. This was a good trade. This was a good trade. Then it changed directions and we're just going in the opposite direction. That would have been a very long trade to be in. It probably would have stopped you out to the tick right down here. Okay, then you could have gotten it back on the very next trade and that trade and that trade. So there's a bunch of opportunity on the NQ. I'm not going to do them all. We ended up with plus 165 on the NQ. All right. Right now you're below the YBR. So the last one that came out of the overbought that did not make it into the oversold was right here. Now that gapped all the way down here. So the chances are you didn't get filled. If you had your order waiting, you would have gotten filled and you would have gone enough to get your stop to break even if you moved your stop quick enough. It looks like it happened really fast, like 1 second. It gapped down and came right back up. So there's probably no way to trade any of that in there. So I wouldn't have traded anything after this first attempt right here. I wouldn't have traded anything else because it never made it into the oversold. It just changed directions here. So right here, let's talk about this for a minute. Okay, we have higher highs and lower lows right here. We're breaking out in the top of a triangle. We hadn't gotten into the oversold here, so that suggests you have an uptrend, a strong uptrend going on, but you don't. You have kind of a weak uptrend going on. But you may want to change tactics if you see something like this. Okay, you may want to change tactics and go back to the divergence trades and see if you have any divergence trades where you don't really care what direction it's going in. All you know is you're going to sell the open. You're going to sell the open of the next bar when it does that, or sell the open of the next bar when it does that. And those are the only two trades. I guess switching tactics didn't work out there, but just something to consider. Okay, on the NQ, we ended up with 165 ticks, and that's the NQ. The ES today, let's see, on the ES, we had a fair number of trades on the ES today. We ended up with plus 89. We had a couple of stop outs in there too. So let's go back to the beginning and we'll talk about that. All right. Here was our first trade on the ES. Up 36 ticks on that first trade in the ES. We nailed that right there. It gave us positive slippage because we had a 30 tick target on it. And it gave us 6 ticks of positive slippage with 10 contracts on. That is pretty awesome. So we had 36 ticks on that. And then the next one, we had a break even. And then we went to 44 on that. Then to 52 on that. And then we stopped out down to 27. And then went from 27 to 35 and 35 to 51. And then 51 to 75. And then there's one more trade. We went from 75 to 89. So we had a 14 tick trade in here somewhere that I didn't mark. Somewhere, probably right here, that I didn't mark at the end of the session. And that was it for the ES. Now, again, you can see that there was a lot of opportunity. You're below the YBR, you're taking short trades when it comes out of the overbought. You're above the YBR, you're taking long trades when it comes out of the oversold. Simple as that. Okay, that was the ES. Now, the Russell. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Okay, let's do this. Here we are. All right, so on the Russell, we started out, this was our first trade of the day. We started out with a stop out on the Russell, minus 25. Then we had a break even and then went to minus 7. And then I believe we got 8 ticks and went to plus 1. Then we had a break even and we got 75 ticks. 75 ticks. 75 ticks. We went to plus 1. Yeah, I guess that's right. We went to from 1 to 76. And then we had a break even, another break even. You know what? I think my numbers are mixed up. Okay, we ended up with 75 ticks. So we went from minus 25 to minus 7 to plus 1. I think we went to plus 7. Then we went to plus 62. That's from 1 to 76. We went from 1 to 7, then 7 to 62, and then 62 to 72, and then 72 to 75. And that's where we ended it on the Russell. Okay, can't read my own writing. It looks like there were some more trades in here that I missed. We did all right with the Russell today. We started out with the stop out on the Russell, and we came back from that, which was pretty good. That was it with the Russell. Okay, so I've done those three. Now gold. Let's do this. I'm gonna hit Alt and back on this because we have a ton of trades on gold, and there are a whole bunch of bars on gold. Gold has been trading really actively the last couple of weeks. See, all those bars happened. Now, I'm not sure I got everything marked up properly, but on gold, we started out here with a minus 10. We had a break even, and then we didn't do anything for a few minutes. Another break even. Then we had a plus 25, I think. Something like that. Plus 25 to get us to, I don't think it was a plus 25. I think it was a plus 10 to get us to 10. And then we had a plus 5 to get us to 15. And then we had a break even. And then we stopped out and we went down to 0. And then we had a plus 10 to get us to 10. Then we had a stop out that brought us to minus 15. And then we had a break even and a plus 5 got us to minus 10. I messed up this trade right here, went from minus 10 to minus 9. And then we had a plus 15 there to get us to 4. And then we stopped out again there, put us down to minus 14. And then we had a plus 10 to get us to minus 4. Then a 4 to get us to 0, then a break even, and then a 20 to get us to plus 20. And then a stop out brought us down to 5. Another stop out brought us to minus 10. Then a plus 10 got us to 0. Then a plus 4 got us to 4. Then a plus 2 got us to 6. And a plus 22 got us to 28. And a plus 2 got us to 30. And a break even. Whew. Wow, that was a lot of trading. Anyway, that is where we finished on the gold for the morning. All right. You can see gold was bouncing all over the place. The 9 range was, I was considering going to a larger time frame on gold, going to the 19 range on gold too. But when I looked at that, it just didn't look like it was trading very well on the 19 range. It didn't look like things were syncing up as well. The timing of the bar closes and all that. So I kept it on 9 range. And you can see there are a ton more trades in here. Every time it comes out of the oversold when you're above the YBR, or could be every time it goes into the oversold when you're above the YBR, depending if you want to be aggressive or not. And the opposite, coming out of the overbought when you're below the YBR. All right, there's some nice directional trades right through here. Bang, right there and there. And then it was, the trend was really strong because it never pulled back into the oversold until all the way over here. It didn't give you another trade until right there. That would have been a stop out right there. But that's it. So it is now 1:09, and if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button and fill out the registration page down here. Make sure you give us a TradingView login ID. Okay, I put mandatory there because if you want to get the charts, you got to give us a TradingView login ID. All right. That is all that. So now we can get into a little bit of trading here, hopefully. All right, let me just see. There are no questions at this juncture, so we can yeah, there are no questions. There is Masood at 3 o'clock You should have already gotten an email. You should have already gotten 2 emails. Okay. So on the gold, we need this to pull back up. This is a beautiful leg length right here. A good pullback would be right here, right now. Okay, so one of the questions this morning was, when do I start reconsidering? So this is where I said a good pullback would be right there, you can see. Now, it's going to cause a flat spot in the overbought. To get a pullback to that level, it's going to cause a flat spot in the overbought because we already have one up close, and the next up close is going to be right here, and that will get into the overbought. And it's going to have to go flat for 2 bars to get you up here. All right. It looks like it's got a lot of momentum here, and it probably won't give that to you. So this right here is going to give you a down close. It's not an actual trade setup, and it's good because it's not a very good spot to trade. Okay, you see you got a movement up with a down close right there. Just caution. The NQ is in a place, a pretty good place to go long, not great. If it gave you a down close on this bar, again, it's not great. I was talking about how this is a slow grind up. It is a trend. This is the first time it's pulled back all the way into the oversold. I'd rather see it close down and give you a flat spot down here for a couple of bars. All right, let me show you what I mean by that. This is your leg up. This whole thing right here is your leg up. So a couple of a flat spot down there for a couple of bars would get you down in this area right here. That would be the good place to trade right there. Okay, not right here. It's giving you a trade right here, so you can take it if you want. You know, it's a valid trade. You can take it if you want. It doesn't have a lot of momentum on the move up right here. It's a slow grind up, right? It should have a deeper pullback than what it has right here. It is a trade. I took it, but it's not a great trade, and it hasn't. I don't think it's gotten up to 50 yet. That's getting up to 50. Okay. I think that's 941. I guess, yeah, I guess it already did. So I got to go to break even as soon as I can on this. It already gave me the opportunity to go to break even, so I got to do that when it gets up there again and gets in the green. There it is. I'm going to go to break even right now, so I don't stop out. And there, I'm out of break even. All right, from my entry point, I was just looking to see if it went far enough, and it did. It only has to go 5 points, and it went 6 points from my entry point. So I'm flat on that. And I was saying I don't think this is a very good spot to trade because it should pull back to here. Let me draw that for you. And right about here is where I'm thinking. Be a nice spot to trade that. And if I do the fibs on that again, it's pretty close. Right about there. Okay. Now let's see what other markets we have. The Russell's in a tough spot too because this is the leg up. This is a spot it should pull back to, is right here. You get the same kind of situation with the Russell. Gold is the only thing that's doing anything that it should do, really. This is our leg length now on gold, all right? So we'll pull back to here. An entry right about here would be great on gold. An entry right about here. The ES is doing the same as the others. An entry right about there would be good for the ES. Entry right about here on the gold would be good. Okay, so an up close on this bar and then a down close on the next bar would be better for this. You see, it's just having these tiny pullbacks. Yes, and today's topic is running stops. All right. Again, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go. I guess you can let me get rid of that. You can go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. It's going to bring you to this registration page. Just fill out the form. Make sure you give us your TradingView login ID down here. If you don't have one, go to that link and get one. Okay. So the gold is giving us another nice leg down right here. Now, both of these last trades, look, it just gave you a gap right there, and it filled that gap almost immediately, but it filled the gap with a gap. That's kind of funny. Gap down and then gapped right back up. That's a trade there on the gold. All right, it's not pretty. None of this is pretty the way it's gapping around here on the gold. It's not doing. Oops, it's not doing the deep pullbacks that I like to see. Right now, one of the things that we encountered this morning when the markets were moving really, really fast is I wasn't able to go through and do all the analysis on all these trades. I wasn't able to go through and say, okay, well, this is 50% retracement. You want to see it get back here, and this would be a great spot for you to enter the trade. It was bouncing around so fast that I was just taking the trades as they were coming. All right, I know I have an edge, so I know if I trade enough, the edge is going to work out in my favor, and that's what happened this morning. You know, I wasn't trying to say this is the best spot to enter, so this is what I'm going to wait for. I'm going to wait for this spot to enter. I didn't do that this morning. Well, for like a half an hour, I didn't do that when the markets were really wild. And there were a few things that moved the markets around. I mean, we had news event at 9:45 that moved the markets. We had news right before that, the tariff stuff that moved the market, and we had news at 10 o'clock that moved the market. And then there was something else that happened, I think at 11 o'clock or 11:30 that moved the market. And so it's been interesting day trading.
Masood has a question for you. I don't know if you've answered it yet.
I have, and I will have to check your email. Okay, I'm sure that it was sent. So, the gold actually has a short right in here. Okay, and this leg down right here, it started up here and came all the way down here. It's not a great spot to enter, but gold has been gapping around. So this is going to be our only trade so far on it. And we can take plus 10 on the gold, and we have a target down there at 25. Okay. The swing low was down here where it gapped down to back here. Right, so we're just going to take the 10 ticks. And that was right here where it came out of the overbought. Right there, we just took those 10 ticks. I didn't do any of the other ones. Masood, I will check that. Let me just make a screenshot of it so I can check it later. Okay, make sure that the right email address is there because I'm almost sure it is. And you probably need to check your spam or promotions folder or something like that. Okay. And you could always go out to the webpage.
And once you do, then whitelist it so future emails go directly to your inbox.
Yes. Yes, and you should do that for any support email you get from us. Right? Any part of us, you should do that for.
The same is true for the emails that are sent by GoToWebinar or LogMeIn, as their new name is.
That is true. All right. So I'm a short gold again right here. This is a good spot for it to short from. It's now gone 5 ticks into profit, so I can bump it. This is a good spot for it to short from in this leg down right here. This leg. This is a great spot to short from. All right. So it should make it all the way down here to 0.9. Right. So my 25 ticks right there should easily get hit. And I was just going to lock in 10, but I can't right now. I still got my stop at break even because I haven't dropped it. You see, I'm still holding on to it with the mouse. I'm waiting for it to get down below me, and then I'll drop it. If I don't drop it, it's going to take me out of break even. There, it just took me out of break even. This is what happens when you hold on to it through that. I was trying to explain that this morning. So that ended up being a break even trade right there. It gave a lot of profit, but I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Well, I will show you something, not right now, but later. Okay, so we did make it down into the oversold. It came back up. It didn't quite make it into the overbought right there. Just about. It's in the oversold again. Didn't quite make it into the overbought. I'd rather see it go down deeper and put in a lower swing right here, right now.
Don't you also post that info in the private channel?
I don't really post it in the private channel. I probably should, but it is on the web page every day. You know, the other one, The target view trades one, not the TV trades. Target view trades.
Right.
But I don't. I should probably post it in the channel. You're right about that, but I don't actually do that. Yeah. This was another trade here on gold. Sorry, I totally forgot about that.
That way, you know,
another
everybody
trade
gets it.
Yes, I should. You are right. I should start doing that. Then everybody can go there to get it every week. Let me see. I know. I'm pretty sure I was sent an email at some point today. I don't know. I'll look at it later. You'll be able to find it in the Telegram channel in a little while. And if you go here to, oops.
Breaking news, Cantor, Tether, and Bitfinex are creating a multi-billion-dollar Bitcoin acquisition vehicle that will absorb billions in Bitcoin, according to the Financial Times.
Billions in Bitcoin. That's a lot of Bitcoin.
Yep.
Considering there's only going to be, what, 21 million of them ever?
That's true. Not like the Federal Reserve that just prints, and then charges the American people interest.
Yes. A new way. A new way. We're living through this transition into a new way right now.
I think the reason Trump has stopped feuding with Jerome, let him do his term, but here's a prediction. I may be wrong. I think as Jay Powell's term ends, he's going to do away with the Federal Reserve. Now, John F. Kennedy tried that, and it did not end well for him in Daley Plaza. If anybody's got the stones to do it, Trump does. So we'll see.
Yes, and I mean,
Our forefathers intended for the Treasury Department to print our money, but you need to read The Creature from Jekyll Island. If you've never read it, just Google it. You can read it for free. It's out of copyright. So anyway, that's you.
Yeah, well, back when Kennedy did it, there wasn't a backup. You know, there wasn't a Bitcoin as a reserve to fall back on. All there was gold. So times are different now. I mean, it could happen now. You could switch, you could get rid of it and switch everything. I mean, everything is different.
Posted an article in the Breeze channel today from CNBC. They're calling it possibly the new safe haven. We popped back over 90,000 yesterday.
Did it stay over 90,000? What's it at right now?
I don't know what it's at right now.
There's a long here on gold. Stop to break even. I had go to +5 on that. +5 on that. Okay, so 5 more ticks on the gold. The gold should make it up to the prior swing high right here. That's what it should do right now. That and that. And on the Russell, that's where I had a buy stop limit order waiting. It's not filled yet. It's right there. See? I'm going to cancel it for right now. It looked like it was going to be in a pretty good spot a minute ago. And it could still be okay. We'll put it there. It should make it up to the prior swing high if we get a trade there on the Russell. We don't have anything else. Well, we have the NQ over here. I missed that one. It didn't pull back as deep as I wanted it to. None of them pulled back as deep as I wanted them to. Right, and the gold didn't run as much as I would have liked to see it run. So I was glad to get out with my 5 ticks on that. And it's pulling back again. And this is a deep pullback. On this one right here, you see the swing low is right here. So if I get in on an up close, my stop's going to be there. And there, this is better. I was going to say, if I get in up here, my stop's going to be right at the swing low. but now my entry point will be right here, and my stop will be below the swing low, which is a better entry point to me. Okay, where it came out of the oversold right here. This is a better entry point than it would have been had the last bar been the one that got out of the oversold. Okay, so here it is. I say all that, and here it is. Because my stop is now below the swing low right here. It's below the swing low over here. So I don't know if it's going to work out, but I feel better about the placement of the trade. The NQ did put in a higher swing. That's good. That's bad for the gold because that means gold should go down, and it did, and it stopped me out. And now on the Russell, that's what I was looking for there on the Russell. I had to buy stop limit order on that. Here it is. So we are long on the Russell, and we had a little bit of profit in it there a second ago. We'll see if we get it back. The gold just flipped directions. All right, we hit the YBR, changed directions on us. Let me get rid of this stuff here. And we're still in that Russell so far. Okay, here it is. I'll leave that on top. And we still haven't gotten the pullbacks that I wanted to get on any of the indices. All right, I think we're going to probably get them now and stop out on the Russell. So we've had 4 trades so far, I think. 3 wins, 1 stop out, I think, so far. And we'll see what happens here. Masood, were you able to get it from the web page as I showed you there? It's always on the web page. Okay, but I will go and post it in Telegram channels too, now that I think about it. Now that Dwayne's mentioned it, it reminded me. All right, so we need 10 ticks in profit on this guy. It's got to get up to 43.6 to bump that stop to break even. Almost. I think it's going to go. I'd like to see the gold pull back a little deeper before it triggers. I think the gold did pull back a little deeper. It still hasn't triggered though. There, now it's triggered. Still waiting on to see if the Russell's going to give us anything here. We're running out of time though. The gold is going to break even, and I'm on a break even on the gold. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to show it to you, but it was a short from right in here, and it just took me on a break even right there. Starting to get a deeper pullback over here on the NQ. Remember, down here's where I want to see it. And the Russell, we got in a little bit of profit on there on the Russell. I think the Russell's going to end up stopping us out right here because they do need to pull back to this level. Well, in my opinion, they need to pull back to that level. And I think they're all going to. Okay, and it did stop us out. All right, and the NQ's almost back to that level. The S is almost back there. The Russell's almost back there. So that's all good stuff. Good stuff. All right, I should have probably taken this long trade here on the NQ, but I didn't. And we run out of time anyway. All right, so we stopped out on the on the Russell. That was our one stop out. Two stop outs. I guess we had one over there on the gold too, I think, right? So we had 2 stop outs and 3 wins with the trades we took. Again, you would have gotten your goal for the day on the very first trade that I took. But if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button. And when you do, you will be sent to this page. Just fill it out. Make sure to give us that TradingView login ID down here, okay? Hit the register button. Once you hit that, we will know that you took the trial and we'll get your indicators indicating for you and give you all the information you need to get into the room with us in the morning, okay? That is it. Masood, go to targetviewtrades.com. Just go to targetviewtrades.com. It's right there, okay? For everybody else, go to mytradingiq.com. Sign up for the free trial right here, all right? There's no credit card required for the trial. Go here. Purple button. No credit card required for the trial. mytradingiq.com. Okay. We'll bring you to the registration page. Again, just click on this link to make sure you have a TradingView login ID. All right. And that is it. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. And I will see you all either later today in meetings today or tomorrow morning. All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. I'm passing it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne is almost ready. There it is. Dwayne is ready. Uh-oh. Dwayne doesn't have audio.
Yeah, but the recap of the morning session.
There it is. All right. This morning it took 3 minutes and 2 trades to get to $2,500 with 10 contracts.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. We only have one market left to go. We covered all the others. If you missed it, you can catch it at youtube.com/CFRN later today. Silver. Last night, we gapped lower on the open. As we did with gold, everything else gapped higher. And we found support at the weekly trading zone that was published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Market finds support. It's going to go look for resistance, and I found it at the long target. Resistance sends the market back to support. Pull back hell, pull back hell, pull back hell, pull back hell, and the pullback held. So big day for silver. Low of the session was 32.05. At 33.05, that makes $5,000 per contract traded. And now it's up about $7,500 per contract traded, give or take. One last look at the daily chart. We're still sitting right below the daily BVC. Now we had a green candle all the way up to here. We took out the high of April 14th by 2 points. And then somebody lost their bravado or simply took profit. And they may run it again into the close. Got to embrace all possibilities. But this gap here, don't forget about that. Okay? To become a member, send us an email. support@cfrn.net. In the subject line, put "I want to become a member." In the body of the email, put your name and your phone number. We're not going to call you, but we will send you an email that explains what it means to become a passport holder and a link so you can click it and seal the deal. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. What a tragedy. So we plugged that big gaping hole. 2 hours of live training, interactive training, every trading day in live markets. 2 hours. Every trading day. Along with the group training, you have access to private one-on-one mentoring, the strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETF, doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. You get the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening. Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones for the week. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. And you're able to attend the members-only workshop tomorrow night, every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And one last thing, you get the golden key that opens all the private channels in Telegram. We've got public channels for the people on trial. We got private channels. Once you become a passport holder, you have access to all the channels. Just send that email to support@cfrn.net. Let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. Growth is about enlargement. Psalm 18:36. You enlarged my path. Now, there's several scriptures about enlargement. You enlarged my path under me, so my feet did not slip. Psalm 18:36. And everyone remembers, well, if you're old enough, back in the 90s, a little tiny book came out called The Prayer of Jabez. 1 Chronicles 4:10. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory. In Isaiah 54:2, we find, enlarge the place of your tent, lengthen your cords, and strengthen your stakes. God wants to enlarge you spiritually, emotionally, relationally, and in every area of your life. But to experience enlargement, you must learn from people larger than you. American author Dr. John Maxwell writes, the first 10 years that I was intentionally pursuing personal growth, I was always behind, trying to catch up. I had to get over the comparison gap. I recognized I needed to be exposed to bigger and better leaders outside of my own small circle. But when I stepped out of my comfort zone, I was intimidated. It was clear that I was not in their league. Their organizations were 6 times the size of mine, and they had many more and much better ideas than I did. I felt like I was in over my head and trying to swim. Despite that, I was encouraged. Why? Because I discovered that great men were willing to share their ideas, and I was learning so much. You can only learn if others are ahead of you. It was a difficult transition, but it was well worth it. So if you are aware that others are better than you, don't be discouraged. Be glad others are there to help show you the way. Growth is not a rocking chair you sit in. It's a mountain you climb each day. But there is good news. As Jim Rohn said, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.